How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another video. It's been a little while since I've posted any videos as of recently, so I do apologize for that. I've been very busy. So today's video is going to be a simple project of, well, to say project, it's more of a repair. We're going to repair an item. Firstly, let me tell you the item. It's this one here, which is a knockoff of the M.O.D Survival knife that the military tend to use. It's been known to be the master of nothing, but the jack of all trades. I should have said that the other way around. Jack of all trades, master of nothing. And it's mainly for campcrafts. Like, you can apparently dig with these things, chop, split wood, and that's what I want to use it one for. You know, I've been curious about this knife for a long time. I've never justified buying one because I've always used an axe, or if I was in the jungle, I've always used my machete. And I've always had that complementary with my bushcraft style knives, you know, whether that's a typical Mora or more a high-end knife like my Jacklaw or my A. Wright & Son or any of my Woodlaws. So I've been curious about that one, the M.O.D knife. There is an original version of it, which is made by J. Adams in Sheffield. Personally, I think it's too much money. Nowadays, anyways, I think it used to be cheaper. So for those who's had one for a long time, you probably had it at a better price than what they're selling them now. Now they're selling them anything between 75 modified all the way up to 90, even 120 pounds I've seen them for. I don't think it's worth that. You know, the fit and finish that you get is not value for money whatsoever. It's not to say it's not a good knife. It's a good knife. The steel is great and the tool is great. Once you get an edge on that thing, it'll do everything you need it to do. Personally, I just don't think you're getting a quality. Well, I say quality, that's bad, not the right thing to say there, but you're not getting a final product that finished because people are constantly modifying that knife. And if it's constantly being modified, like Western Blades is always modifying them for people, it just shows it's never perfect in the first place. It should have been finished better. That's just my own personal opinion, guys. I wouldn't pay nowhere near £90 for that. I'd probably pay the maximum 50 and then modify it myself. Great. So I went for the knockoff. I've got one, it's Kombat UK, and I got it from Sgt Pepper's. It was at a good deal for £30, and I had a bit of a result. As soon as I opened the package, and I suppose you get what you pay for here, because this is probably a China knockoff. The rivets, the washers have fallen out of 2 of those parts already, and I've had it for less than 24 hours. And so this is not a review, guys, because I can't review the knife. I'm not going to review any of my stuff. I will show them and talk about them, but it's not a review, okay? And I suppose that's because it was made in China, guys. So, but why I bought the cheaper version is gives me a chance to try it out, to see how I like the feel of it, the size of it, and things like that. And also I want to clone it because I do make knives. I've made knives in the past. Plenty of them. I used to commission them quite often. Been doing it for years and years. I made, several knives. I used to make lots of straight razors and folding knives, and also drop point hunters. And I used to commission them. And then I remember watching a video, or a couple of videos, one from Jacklaw and one from RD Projects, and they inspired me to make my first Woodlaw. And it was only the first Woodlaw that inspired me to make it, not my first knife. Before that, it was actually a knife maker for a while. The industry got saturated and I didn't like the demand of it. So it got to a point where, I've got my career, I've got my job, what I do. So I stopped doing it for commission. So now what I do is just, if I do ever make knives, I make them. If I like them, I'll keep them, or maybe I'll give them away. And sometimes I sell them. So it really depends. So I'm not going to take any commissions on knife making. And this is not a knife making video, but this is going to be a repair video to show you how you would repair something like this. Okay, now if I like this and I like the feel of it, and from what I can feel already, do you know what I mean? I've got an idea that it's going to be an ideal little day pack knife for, instead of carrying my axe or a small hatchet, putting this away would be a bit more subtle in the back of my pack, and I can use that to split up some kindling and for my little wood burning stoves. And if I was go for a little day and I want to make a small fire quickly, that would be ideal. Saves me having to carry my heavier items. And that's what I bought this for. It's never going to be a main purpose knife. Okay, never going to be the main job. It's just a complementary tool, so to say. And if I like it, I'm going to clone it. I'm going to get much better steel, which I can source out some good steel on the cheap. But I'm going to get like an O1 tool steel. I've got quite a lot of it, to be fair, so I could probably use what I've got and clone this knife. And I'll do a video of that, of how to make your own M.O.D knife. And I can use this to take a pattern off it. And then I'm going to make it with my touches as well. So I'm going to make it like a custom version, my own style of handles, whatever pins and rivets I want to use. How I would like this guard to be. I'll probably take the back end off that guard off and make my own version of the M.O.D knife. So I know there's people doing it to the J Adams one, and that's a good knife, but I don't want to spend that money on a J Adams knife. I think it should be a bit reduced on the price. 55 is probably the biggest push I'd give it. Okay, that's just my opinion, guys. I know it's going to upset a few people because they swear by that knife. It's just because of its reputation. But when you stop and think of it objectively, for that money, you could have got much more substantial tools, if you ask me. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is turn this video around. I'm going to show you the defect. So the washers come off there, and one came off here, and I've already popped this rivet out, and I'm going to show you how to do that for the rest of them, and I'm going to show you how easy it is, and then what you can do to replace them, and what options you have. Okay, so I'm going to turn you around now, guys, and then we'll look at how to repair a knife handle if the rivets were to fall out. So guys, let's have a little show of the knife quickly. Now, sorry for the lighting in here. You can see the washer came out of that one. It came out of this one first, and I've popped out the entire rivet with it. And what that looks like is this. So basically you get a bar that's been peened on one side. They put a washer on, and then on the other side they put another washer and peen the other. And the peening on this side was the defect. They haven't done a good job there. And then secondly, they also haven't left enough bar to peen it even further. Otherwise I would have just peened it back on. There just wasn't enough bar to do any peening. I can't get the washer on there, so it was bodged basically. That's pretty much the way to put it. I mean, as a tool, as you can see, it's still a capable tool, and it comes with this cool sheath. It's quite a nice sort of Fedora style sheath. It's got this sort of camo pattern on there. I'm not a fan of military camouflage, so I'll probably, for this one I'll keep as it is. But when I come to cloning the knife and making my own, I'll make my own sheath, a nice leather one with good fittings on there as well, so it doesn't fall out and what have not. So this is just to show you how to repair something like this. Now I'm lucky, I got it for free because they refunded me my entire money. So I can afford to now play around with it and modify it and not cry about what happened. Now, to fix these, you've got a couple of options of using other fixing tools. You could glue the scales on if you wanted to, and then include something like this, which is like a mosaic pin if you wanted to. But personally, I wouldn't go down that route for a knife like this one because it's not worth it. Let's face it, it's just, it's a standard basic working tool. You don't have to make this thing look pretty, so don't spend too much money on doing this particular task. Other options, you've got these here. If I show you what one looks like, these are loveless bolts, and this is what I tend to use quite often for when I'm making woodlaw style knives or drop point hunters or anything like that. I use these wood what they're called, loveless bolts again, and also use Corby bolts. I haven't got any Corby bolts at the moment because I seem to have run out, but that's tend to be what I use quite often. Or you can just use typical brass bars if you want to do, or even stainless steel ones, and then you can just glue them in, or you can peen them on yourself if you wanted to. Now I'm not going to do the peening technique on this one. I'm going to use something different. I'm going to use these. Okay. Now, these little fasteners, you can get them in boxes like this. Okay, and they are little rivets. And the good thing is they've got a female side, and I've just dropped the male side and the male side, and they just pretty much go in and screw on. That's it. Okay, so it's hard to do this while filming myself. And it has a little Phillips head on the other side. This side's flat. Okay, I think that'd be more suited as a quick fix for this, considering how much I paid for it. I'm not going to put all my good quality materials into this. When I come to making my own version of it, then I'm going to make it a little bit more deluxe. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is going to reposition this camera and show you how to take out, how easy it is to take out these rivets and then replace them with this one. Okay, So I suppose this will be take 2. I tried to film this part, guys, but the camera was falling all over the place as I was doing it. So as I said, these are the washers that came out, and I'm going to show you how to take, where am I here? Trying to take out the pins from this. Now, you can use a barricade, well, I'd say barrier between your table, your worktop and your knife if you want to protect the steel. I'm not too precious about it, but I'll show you anyways, okay? So all you do, put the knife on the end, you take a small, this is a flathead screwdriver, so it happens, but you can use anything that's small and long and pin. You can use a nail of some sort, okay? And you just center it, I'll show you here, in where the smaller pinned end is. Okay, so if you compare the sizes, that's the bigger version, and that's the smaller version. And I'm going to do that for these. So you just literally center it and then whack them out. Okay, hopefully this will work on camera. Don't drop the camera this time. So if you can't see it perfectly, guys, but you center that there. Okay, might be a good idea to clamp the knife down, but I should be able to do this quite quickly. Done. And that's taken that one out. So if I show you, it's just dropped on the floor here. That's that one removed. Okay, what I'm going to do now is do this next one. Just pop it out. Okay, and then I'm going to show you how to refix the handle itself. Okay, so that's the previous rivets taken out. It's not that the technique they were using is a poor technique. Pinning handles on is actually very good to do. You know, I've done that to handles in the past, especially if I want to make handles on the fly and I don't want to have to wait for epoxy to dry and things like that. It's a good technique to use. I've used it before, and it holds a handle on very securely if done properly. It's just the fact that this wasn't done properly. Okay, and as a result, the washers were falling out of it. So this is what I've got. So these are 2 scales. I've inspected it already. There's no crackage or anything like that in them, so that's good. So I can use these scales to put the handle back, to put it back onto the knife. Okay, I'm not going to do anything with them, and I'm going to be using this sort of fixture. Okay, which is the male and female sort of rivet. Okay, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to tighten them up, see how they hold. I'm not going to glue the handles on. I don't think I need to for this knife, but if it does get to a point where things become loose and it's not reliable, then I will probably glue it, okay, and then fix them back on. But in this case, I'm not going to. But for now, what I am going to do, because it gives me an opportunity to look at this knife a bit more and how it's constructed. I think they did like a little welding just there and here. It might be a solder, I'm not sure. No, it looks like a weld. Let's have a look here. No, actually it's not. It looks like it just slipped on by the looks of it. It's hard to tell. I'll have a little inspection of that. And I'm going to take a pattern. I'm going to trace around the whole knife and get a pattern while it's flat like this, or flat as it can be. So I'll trace around the handle and I'll trace around the blade, and then that will give me my pattern for when I come to making my own, which I will do a video on, guys, how to make your own M.O.D knife. And that's the whole point of why I wanted the cheaper one. I'm not going to put money into the more expensive one when I know I can make one, and that's the key thing. The one I'm going to make, I'm going to have a better fixture. I'm going to have a different type of handle material. I might use rosewood or something like that. I'm definitely going to have a brass lanyard in here. As for the guard that I'm going to do, I might take the back end of that guard off, just keep the front end and maybe shrink it down a little bit. So therefore, if I wanted to, I can then choke up if need be. Okay, and then I want to make it nice and sharp. So what I'm going to do is make an initial flat grind, and then as a secondary grind, I'm going to put on a little convex grind on that, just a very micro convex to give it strength, because this is going to be for chopping, splitting, and so forth. Okay, it's quite a thick blade. It's about 5 mil thick. I might use the same 5 mil thick. I probably would, so I can keep the weight, maybe even 6 mil to make it a bit of a beast. So I will make one at some point, maybe next year. But for now, I'm just going to play around with this one. Okay, so let's show you how to fix the handle back on But first I'm just going to turn my camera off so I can get a pattern off this. Okay. And as for measuring bevels and stuff like that, I can do that as and when I need to make them, because I'll have the knife. I'm going to make my own bevels, my own sort of modifications, and sort of my own interpretation of this knife. Okay. There we go. So I've got my scale now. There's my pattern. Right. Fixing the handle. Straightforward stuff. Now, what I'm going to do, guys, is just going to grab some tools I need, and then I'll be back with you. Okay. So as I said, I'm going to be using these rivets here, and I've got a Phillips on one side, and it's very, very subtle. I'm sure you guys getting that. Very subtle Phillips, and it's flat on the other. And these would be great for an item like this, to sort of repair the handle. And it's going to be straightforward. Now I want consistency here. All you need is a Phillips screwdriver. Okay, so you take your knife, get the scale on there that you want to rivet, line it up with the holes, and then literally take the female end, okay, which is the taller end, thread it through the scale, and then obviously through the hole of the blade, just like that. And you're going to see this is probably a better fitting. Why I didn't do it this way in the first place, I don't know, but for a knife like this, I'm not going to go out my way and glue it and go to town with special loveless bolts and Corby bolts and mosaic pins and what have you. I'm going to even go out my way to peen it. You know, what's worth the effort? Okay, now you line up that with the other side. So now what I've done is put all three of them in there, so already you can see how that's going to look. Quick fixes, guys, that's what it is. Quick fix and a reliable fix, that's all we want. Get your male end, pop it in there, screwdriver, and see how quick that took. There we go. I'm not going to fully tighten it just yet. I want to get more lined up in first. Because you need to make sure the scales are nice and flush as well. And for an M.O.D knife like this is all I would do, guys. M.O.D knockoff, to be exact. So yeah, I did get what I paid for, but at the end of the day, I didn't pay for it because they refunded me. Okay, because it still failed in transit. Okay, I haven't had the chance to use the thing yet, so I can't even review it. I'm not even going to do that anyways. So what I was doing there, guys, I was just feeding the scales and making sure it's all lined up. And now what I'm going to do is just cinch them down nice and tightly. That's good. Oh, the head of that one came out. Put that back in. Okay, same for this one. I'm just putting my finger on the other side to stop it from moving. Cinch it down. I think that's going to be plenty enough. Now, I got these fittings as well. Pretty cheap. I got them on Temu. I think I spent £3 on them all. There's loads of them. There's like 200 pieces in there. So that's including everything. So it'll probably be about 100 rivets in total. So it's 200 for the male and the female. And they all fit into each other. So there's different sizes and lengths. So happened I had the ones to fit here. You don't want to damage the Phillips, because Phillips do that. Let's see if these Temu rivets hold, shall we? I can see what I'm doing. There we go. Done. There we have it, guys. Look at that. If you ask me, that's a better fitting than what came with the knife. Fixed. Okay. Solid, that is. It's not going anywhere. Excellent. I like it. Let's pop her back in the sheath. Okay. Not sure about this sheath, but it'll be for this knife anyways. This is going to be more of a gardening tool when I'm done, because when I make one, that will be the one that will be coming to the woods. This one is just for chopping a few branches and stuff in the garden. I've got quite a big garden, so there we are. I should give it to my wife when I'm done with it. There we go, guys. So there you have it, guys. That's a quick repair job on the M.O.D Survival knife, the knockoff. And you can see there, that's got the Phillips side. That's the flat side. Looks neater if you ask me. I think it looks a lot better than what they gave us originally. And guys, that is a solid way to fix your scales onto a knife like this. I'm not going to go out my way and put so much effort into something like this for what I'm using it for and for what I need it for. I really wanted it for a pattern. So that's just as it is now. I will play around with it. I will chop a bit of wood and just, you know, it's a toy, isn't it? We like playing with our toys. Having said that, that way of fixing a scale on, that's tried and tested. Okay, that is similar rivets they would use for, I'm not sure if you guys know the TBS, not TBS, my apologies, BPS, BPS knives that they have now. It's made in Ukraine. I've got the B1 and I've been playing around with that. I took that one to Sweden with me, and they fit the knife handle in the same fashion the way I just did it there. So I've taken them scales off and drew around it, got a pattern because I'm going to make another knife like it, because it's a knockoff of the Condor Bush Law. Okay, it's the B1 that I got, and I wanted to have a bit of fun and clone that knife as well. So I might do a series of videos of cloning knives in the future, and I'll clone the Wood Law, I'll clone the BPS B1, I'll clone this and other knives I may have, and I'll just clone them just for fun. Okay, may do a few giveaways, who knows? So stay tuned, guys. But that's tried and tested, and my BPS held up really well out in Sweden for the whole week. The handle didn't come off or anything like that. So that's how they get away with selling knives quite cheaply to the consumer. Sometimes they cut corners, and when I say cut corners, it means they haven't glued it on, they haven't peened it on, they haven't used certain pins that are decorative. They're just giving you a basic pin, screw them in, done. Some of them just use machines that rivet in, just like that. And I think that's what they did to this one. But I've changed the pins, and now it's better. Now it's stronger, and I'm really happy how it's turned out. So I will be cloning it, as I said. And guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, I know it wasn't the most exciting video, but if you've enjoyed it, please press a like and subscribe to my channel. Do your support for subscribing to my channel, and look at some future projects that's coming up. I'm going to be making another video as well soon in regards to a DIY project that you guys can make, quite a simple one, and one that's very valuable to us. Okay, so stay tuned, guys. Have a good day.